I think we have a pretty good online list here, so maybe, I usually try to make all these interactive, so I don't know how we'll do it with everyone being online and no one in the office, but we'll try to do our best.
Can we like?
Chantel, you could be a good question asker
Okay,
if you want.
I'll try.
So today's topic is price reductions, and everyone should have a copy of the bullet points of what we're going to cover here, although you guys are all online, so I
They
know how
don't
you're
have
gonna do that
anything.
as well. But okay, we'll just go bullet point by bullet point. And I like to kind of keep everything interactive. So anyone have an idea, online crew, as to when the right time is to get a price reduction? That'll be our first.
At the listing appointment?
Actually, that's great. We will be covering that.
I know that's how you would do it, Dan.
Yeah, that's good. Anyone else have any opinions on when's the right time to get a price reduction on a property?
Listing appointment.
Listing appointment. Mr. Havlin said listing appointment. Shantae said listing appointment, which definitely is a great time to already have a conversation about a price reduction. If anyone else would like to unmute themselves and chime in, the more we participate, the better the conversation is.
Hey, Dan, good morning. How are you? Or good
Hey,
afternoon.
what's up, girl?
Good. Hey, Madalena. So the National Association of Realtors says that if you have a property on the market for 10 days with no showings or showings and no offers, that's the time for a price reduction.
That's awesome. And yeah, so it's changing obviously as the market changes. It used to be back in the day, I can remember it was a 30-day marker, but I wrote down here on our little bullet point thing about 14 days, but I think 10 days in today's market, when the average time on market was 6 months ago, probably what, 4 or 5 days. I think that's changing very quickly, but great feedback. And so to add to what Kathy said, 10 to 14 days is probably the right timeline to ask for a price reduction. And does anyone kind of know what percentage you should adjust the price down when you ask for a price reduction? Does anyone have any ideas as to what percentage you should ask for as far as a price reduction is concerned?
No less than 5. I work at 10, but no less than 5, I believe, is
5,000
progress.
5%.
5%. So to Kathy, thanks again for that participation. So NAR, like you said, NAR, if you have 0 showings in that first 10 to 14 day period, you should be asking for a 10% price reduction. And if you have a really decent flow of showings, but no offers, typically you're going to want to ask for about a 5% price reduction. Yeah, so that's kind of where you want to go. Going back to what Mr. Havlin had mentioned, and I think Shantae, when you go for your listing appointment, having a price reduction form signed in advance by your client makes it a lot easier to get a price reduction because you're not having to circle back around. And generally speaking, you're going to want to ask for one of those pre-signed and have a price reduction conversation in place with what the new price will be if the property doesn't sell in a given amount of time. And I think, Kathy, when the seller is not cooperative in listing the property at the price that you want them to list it at, is that the best time to then say, listen, I'll agree to your price for a certain period of time, but if it does not sell in that period of time, let's agree now in advance to make a price correction?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because you're going to have a tough time when you try to circle back to get them to sign it after the fact.
So, yeah.
A suggestion, instead of saying, we'll list it at X, but if it doesn't sell in 2 weeks, you should say, we'll list it at 300,000. And if we don't get an offer by in 2 weeks, we will reduce it to 200 or
Whatever the
That's an
price
whatever the
is.
number is.
Yeah.
Instead of but, it's and.
That's right.
Because a but is a it stops the
We,
conversation.
we had that conversation
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's scripting. So yeah, that'll be great. And that's something we're gonna actually cover today.
cool.
Maybe you and I will role play.
Yeah, man.
That'll be fun. So does anyone have any questions about that as far as price reductions, the time to ask for it and the percentage to try to go for? I see a lot of newer agents on the call today. Are you guys all getting price reductions right now? Newer agents? Lamore, I see you're on here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Any feedback you want to give some of the newer agents as far as price reductions are concerned? Because I know you're an expert in them.
What has worked for me in the past is like third-party validation. So I know some agents will do a whole broker's open house just to get brokers to write down that the property is overpriced or needs improvements. But I'm a big proponent of allowing the showing time feedback to go directly to the seller. And if and when the buyer's agents actually fill that out, I do it pretty religiously, but that they can see in real time if somebody thinks it's overpriced or not. So, and then being in constant communication with the seller, just because nothing's happening, just shoot them a text or a call at least weekly, if not more often, just to keep them updated on where the market is going and how their property, both in condition and price, relates to that.
Great feedback from more. Thank you so much. And one of the things we're going to kind of cover today are, bullet point strategies for getting price reductions. So, as a community today, as we are all here, did we need to get price reductions 90 days ago?
No.
Okay. And does everyone feel and see kind of what the market is doing right now? Does anyone feel a slowdown, or does everyone feel like it was what it was 90 days ago?
I feel like it's definitely slowing down. A lot more time on the market, a lot of price reductions.
Yeah. I mean, I could only speak for myself. I'm probably 50% less busy than I was, this time last year. I don't know how you guys are doing, but talking to a lot of mortgage lenders that are really successful, their businesses are down 60% from last year, to give you an idea. So generally speaking, when, a market shift happens, the very first thing that transpires before more activity is just a complete shutdown and slowdown, because everyone doesn't really kind of know what's going on. So this is all psychological right now, and it's going to take some time for the new reality to set into a lot of sellers, but sellers will sit on the sidelines oftentimes until the reality creeps in. So this is a very natural thing that we're seeing in a market shift that we haven't seen in probably 10 years. But, price reduction. Yeah.
I was given a listing referral.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet the people Wednesday afternoon. Never met them before. So I thought about this, and I thought they need to be educated what the market is, because I'm finding a lot of sellers, they still think it's last year.
Yeah.
They still think there's multiple offers. They'll sell for 30,000 more than what I'm asking, all that stuff. So I came up with bullet points that I'm going to give this to the buyers sellers when I meet them on Wednesday, and I put in there as an education thing. So this is changes to market in 2022 since the second quarter. 1, days on market is extending and continuing to expand. 2, price reductions are prevalent. You go in today's Paragon, what do you see?
Yeah, price reductions.
3, inventory growing week by week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's more choices for buyers.
Yeah.
And the buyer frenzy is going away.
Yeah.
Which is what some sellers still think that's happening.
Yeah.
4, prices leveling, in some cases dropping, right?
100%.
There's fewer COVID buyers in the market. Those people, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
They either
bought theirs
or they went off. They got out of the box. Fewer offers per listing now.
Yep.
Interest rates rising, and they're not going to go back to 3%. We're not going to see that again.
Nope.
Expired listings increasing. number of showings on new listings going down. So I'm
Mm,
setting up expectations
yeah,
for the
That's
seller.
very good.
huge.
And then, number of deals falling apart,
Yeah.
that's increasing.
Woo,
On
big time.
inspections right
And
now.
some of it from interest rates and some of it from like appraisals coming along.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I,
I'm gonna set up these people, this is what you're facing.
that's it, the
Yeah.
new market.
This is the new market.
Yep.
Which is actually normal.
That's a normal market.
Right.
100% agreed, yeah. And to that point, I had an offer come in on Thursday, and by Saturday, they pulled the offer for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Just cold feet.
Yeah.
They think you're gonna get a better, so what'll happen now, buyers will think they'll get a better deal 6 months from now, because they're starting to smell blood in the water.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, as far as strategies, if you guys want to write these things down, these are things you should start getting really, really good at. So one of the things that I employ on my listings is every week I try to find, and this is in a shifting market. So price reductions are not easy to get. So let's just start there, right? So we all think that every seller is going to go, oh yeah, no problem. I'll drop my price 5%, 10%. It takes a lot of work. And, as Lamore said, you have to have a strong relationship in place, and you have to be the person that gives a ton of information to your clients and keep them really well educated. So every week, what I do, I try to look, I hate to say it this way, but look for bad news as it pertains to the real estate market and send it to your clients. So every week they're getting an email or even a letter mail of what's happening in the market, whether it's increased interest rates, whether days on market are increasing, whether there's a lot more price reductions in the marketplace. One of the resources I use for this is called Keeping Matters Current. It's a free online resource, and it'll always give you good content to give to your sellers.
Keeping current matters, Dan.
Keeping Current Matters. Thank you. I don't know.
It's funny, I sent a link to that to Aaliyah a few days ago for her
Yeah.
to look into that.
Yeah, and you like that resource, Shantay?
I haven't started using it yet either. It was just on
Oh.
Instagram. So I
Oh, yeah,
sent it to
it's
her.
great.
Yep.
The other thing, as Lamore said, has anyone seen an increase in brokers opens lately?
Yes.
Okay, why do we think there's an increase in brokers opens?
They're trying to get people there.
Yeah, we want to get opinions of agents as to what the correct listing price should be. We didn't see brokers open houses 4 months ago, but the good news for all you agents on this today, you're going to put on some weight because you're going to be eating some good lunches on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But yeah, those opinions do matter. That's super important.
The listing agents are being nice now.
Yeah, listing agents are being nicer. That's another good byproduct of a softer market. Putting your seller on a property alert. So whether you're using Paragon or you're using, what's the system we use here? What is that called? Command.
Oh, come on.
Or any other CRM that you guys are using, set up your clients to receive actives, under contracts, and solds in the price point that you want them to go to. So you're not going to send them actives, under contracts, and sold at a higher price than they're currently listed at. Send them actives, under contracts, and solds with their similar square footage bedrooms and bathrooms, so they're seeing what's happening in the marketplace. I'd also even recommend price reductions, but you could do that all through the CRM you guys use. And this way, every week, maybe even set them up every day, they can literally see what's happening in the marketplace, because markets are fluid. They're changing all the time. Also, what you guys want to do, and I do believe you could do this on Zillow and Realtor.com. If you can't do it on both of them, you could definitely do it on one of them. Set your client up to receive a weekly report on how many online views they're getting. How many online views they're getting.
Do that through ListHub.
ListHub, there you go. ListHub, I believe, canceled their subscription with Zillow, so they can't see the Zillow feedbacks or the showings. So I go in and independently send those reports in both verticals.
Right.
And so why is that important? Anyone want to chime in as to why it's important for the sellers to see how many online views they're getting?
So that they can see that people are looking at their house, but they're not they're not feeling that it's fair market value enough to make an offer on it.
So Kathy, thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome. So what I do with my sellers, Kathy, is I'll call them every week and say, hey, did you get the realtor.com report that showed you had 200 property views this week? Yes, I have. And we didn't have any showings this week, Kathy. Did you realize that? Yes, I did. So what's the market telling us if we had 200 people look at your house on realtor.com, but have not come through for their second showing? And you'll say, well, why would you say second showing? Well, the first showing is always online. Second showing is when they physically come through their house, because they're doing their shopping now in today's digital world in the comfort of their home. When they physically spend $5 a gallon gas to come out to see our house, that's their second showing. So if you're having a lot of viewings online but no showings, do you think it's better? It's best that we adjust the price or correct the price? And that's how you could use that as a tool. Showing time feedback, super important. I set up all my sellers to receive the showing time feedback. That definitely helps in getting price reductions as well. Anyone else want to add any additional tools in their tool belt for price reductions? Following up with your seller every week. And if you have nothing to tell them because you have had zero showings, don't be afraid to call your seller. Call your seller to tell them how many online showings they had and the result of those online showings.
Also, you could do an open house, and if nobody shows up at your open house, that's definitely a factor that your house is overpriced. You know, why?
Yeah.
Same going back to spending $5 a gallon to see your house, and
Yeah. Absolutely. So role play. Find role play partners to role play the conversation you're going to have with your clients to get the price reductions. That's super, super important. So we talk about role playing for all these other different things, expireds, FSBOs, past client, circle prospecting, but are we role playing on the price reductions? Are we having those role play conversations to get really comfortable with making those phone calls? Is anyone super comfortable making those calls to sellers asking for price reductions? Does everyone on the phone call love making those calls?
No.
They're awesome to make, aren't they?
No.
We had one really well. And what I did was I priced out exactly in his price range how much exactly the price reductions were. And when I saw houses less money than his house, it was 10 to 20,000. But when I found the little niche, I was able to tell him that you need to reduce the price by 30 to 40,000. And believe that or not, because of the data, it went well.
You know, that's a great point, Valerie. I always was taught and learned that if you're going to go for a price reduction and you feel it's time to make a correction to the seller's asking price, go for the big one. Do not nickel and dime it. Go for as big and as deep as you can. And it's okay to get yelled at and screamed at and have pushback. There probably will be a little bit of negotiating in there. But if you go for the big one up front, it's much easier to get it sold quickly, because to go back for a second price reduction is a lot harder than going for the first one. So when you go for the price reduction, go for what you think it's going to be to get it sold within the next 7 days after the price reduction.
I think it also looks bad online when there's multiple reductions.
It does, you know, and I think now more than ever, you think buyers are looking for how many days on market a property is versus, 3-4 months ago. I was always taught that, as the days on market increase for a property, the perceived value in the eyes of the buyer decreases. And that's something I always tell sellers. So if sellers say to you, I don't really necessarily have to sell and I could take as much time as I want, tell them what the disadvantage to that thinking is and how it's only going to erode the value of their property in the long run. Any questions about that? Anyone want to chime in a little bit more about that?
I like what you said about getting the most reduction up front.
Yeah,
And also, I've never heard anyone say what you said about the second showing being the in-person showing. I think that that was awesome because it is. They look at it first online, and when they come in person, that's their second showing.
yeah. I used to get really nervous asking for price reductions when I didn't have showings. And then someone coached me on use the realtor.com and Zillow views and not pivot, but position those as actual showings to your seller and refer to those as online showings. So you've had 300 online showings this week. There's been no change in the activity. It has not resulted or translated into any additional second showings physically at your house. Shantae, what do you think the market is telling you right now? And when you're asking for a price reduction, always use the word the market. The market is telling you this. Don't say I'm telling you this. It's the market telling you this, because then it becomes very personal and they become, they don't like you very much. Blame it on the market. The market's the bad cop. You're the good cop.
I was thinking that some buyers have actually bought homes with that first showing online, and they haven't even been in the door of the house.
Happens
Because
all
they're
the
out in
time,
Minnesota
right?
somewhere.
Yeah.
All these
Mhm.
pictures look great. I'll buy it.
1000%. I'm gonna now pass this on to Madalena to go over kind of the listing presentation and how to get a well-priced listing. And some of the things to offer to the seller at the table.
So, there is a reason why they're gonna pick you as their listing agent. You have to be the one that makes a difference. And I think in this market is very important that we have a listing presentation, listing package, where we talk about what we're going to do for them and why should we list their property and not, I don't know, Century 21 or Remax or whatever, doesn't matter, one of these companies. So we want to be proactive agents. We don't want to be passive agents where we take a listing and they never heard from us. After that, they don't hear from us, we're gone, and that's it. We put it online because everybody could do that. Being proactive, we have, me personally, and I don't know if you, Dan, and I'm sure like Rich is definitely doing it for sure, where we make in the listing presentation, we inform them about the market and what's happening in the market, and also what we're going to do for them, and what our services are different than others. So beginning from pictures, professional pictures, and I don't know, drone shots if it's a property on the water or a unique lot that needs, you guys think that it needs aerial pictures, to doing a broker's open. Me personally, I'm thinking that I'm gonna start doing them every time I feel like it's necessary. And not only to get a price reduction, just to have the agents come and check out the property. You never know who has a buyer. Open house. Also, Dan was mentioning, and I never thought about it unless we're mentioning about offer pre-inspections and negotiate with the inspector a discounted price. That being said, if the house, it could, I think you said it could go either way, but
Yeah.
um,
So with does anyone know what a pre-home inspection is or is currently using it in their marketing?
No, I never heard of that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anyone
I
else
did
on the
one.
call today?
I did one.
Okay.
It was on a waterfront property, and I was a little concerned about the crawl space.
Yeah.
Because I sure as hell was not going to crawl in there. I convinced them to have a pre-home inspection. It resulted in the crawl space needed to be completely remediated, mold, drainage. So it was really a good thing. So once we got that done, the house sold well.
Valerie, do I have permission to carry on this conversation with you a little bit more? Because I just want to go a little deeper in it. Is that okay?
Oh my God. Yes.
No, don't worry, I'm not gonna put you on the spot tonight. So by doing the pre-inspection on the property, if you did not do that and you did receive a buyer and an offer, what do you think probably would have been the result at the home inspection that the buyer hired?
Well, they would have flipped out. As a matter of fact, we did have a buyer because we were working on the house
Yeah,
as it was being sold. They did that, but when they found out the extent of it, they wanted to put it on the market anyhow. So one buyer totally walked away. Yeah, if they had found that out in the inspection, they would have thought the house wasn't taken well care of, right?
and the other question I have is, the company that the seller chose to remediate the crawl space, if the buyer had done that inspection and found out all the damage and the buyer hired their own contracting company and that contractor knew that they were under contract, what do you think would have happened to the price of that remediation?
Yeah, I'm sure it would have gone up. I mean, they probably would have called ServPro, and then it would have been, we had a really competent guy come in, do a great job, and he did it for a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah. And so I guess this is going out to everyone on this call. The purpose of pre-inspections in a market that's a lot less competitive is buyers tend to back out of home inspection issues a lot quicker. So if you can, as a homeowner, tackle those issues in advance of putting your home on the market, it serves a bunch of different purposes. Number one, the contractor, the seller gets the hire and not the buyer. Number two, it's not going to show up on the report and scare the buyer. Number three, there are companies out there that the pre-home inspection price can be negotiated in advance. So you can get a reduction in that home inspection report. And if it turns out to be a wonderful home inspection, which is not going to happen all the time, but you could actually now use it as a marketing tool and advertise that it's been pre-inspected and put it up in the MLS so buyers can see how clean of a property it is. So it serves so many different functions, but primarily it's to keep your deals together and also to save the seller money on repairs, because when a buyer discovers it and they want to use their licensed and insured contractors versus your handyman that could probably do 90% of the stuff that comes up on a home inspection, it's going to save the seller a ton of time. But the benefit to you as the realtor, you're going to almost guarantee that you're going to get paid and that you're going to pass a home inspection with flying colors. Does that make sense to everyone?
I really like that. I think that that's awesome. Question for you guys and maybe Valerie as well. What makes you decide which properties might you be interested in doing that for? And like, how do you make that decision?
I would answer that real quickly. If the home's older than 10 years old, I'm going back to what the market was 5 years ago. I would say almost every one of my listings, I would do my best to convince the seller to do a pre-home inspection. And there's one other, I guess, dividend that comes out of it. When they see that report and they see that everything that's wrong with their house and they get the opportunity to use their own people to rectify it, they're going to be so grateful that you even thought about this. And it, like Madalena was saying, it's something that separates you significantly from the competition. Is it brand new construction or, I mean, there's properties you'll walk into that are pristine that you'll know that they're not going to need it. But good, listen, good majority of homes, 10 years old, there's some wear and tear on there.
And some issues could be hidden too, like
Yeah,
crawl space
hidden.
and stuff like that.
Any house, I will tell you, any house that had a crawl space, I would literally, like, if they didn't want to do it, I would be like, okay, you're nuts, you're crazy. Because every crawl space, for whatever reason, always gives me a hard time. Always.
You always ask the seller, when's the last time you were in the crawl space?
Yeah, especially if it's
They
on
can't
a
remember.
barrier island.
Yeah.
If it's on a barrier island, good chance that the sill plate's all rotted out. There's mold,
water.
there's just all sorts of stuff going on. So, but good question. Good question. I think, that is really it for price reductions, guys. Is there anything that we left out that you feel we should have covered? And feel free to speak up.
Any questions?
Any questions? we're going into our Q&A portion of this call.
That pre-home inspection comes
Yes.
from out of the seller's pocket, correct?
I just have the seller pay for the pre-home inspection directly to the home inspector. I don't get caught up in all that nonsense.
Okay,
But what you want to try to do is have a pre-negotiated price that is at a discount from the regular standard home inspection price. And home inspectors will sometimes give you a discount because they know they're going to be getting a ton of business from you. Now, 6 months ago, I would say it would be a little bit more difficult, but someone just told me that a few home inspectors are like calling them now, asking if they have any business because things have slowed down that significantly.
Actually, it just happened to me.
Oh, so Marlene,
I
just
think I was
happened to-
telling you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Maybe he was just telling you.
Because what we're going into, as Mr. Havlin mentioned, we're going in back to a normal market. You guys don't quite know what a normal market looks like. This is what a normal market looks like. Yeah, yeah. And it's gonna, and I think it's going to get progressively more challenging as we move forward. So this is just the beginning, I believe, of what the market, you know, this pivot, this shift in the market. I think this is just the beginning. I don't think it's going to be what we saw in 2008, 2009, but I do think, you know, the market's going to look a lot different than it has looked for the last 3 years, for sure.
The other thing,
Good
James,
question.
there's gonna be less competition.
Yeah,
We're gonna, with a lot of realtors are gonna leave the business. Now you have to actually do something.
yeah, yeah. Now you have to work. And those brokers opens, you know, they're work, but they're important to have because they're going to give your seller a greater sense of reality. I think open houses now are going to be a little bit more of an effective tool than they've been in the past. So there's a lot of good things that come as a result. What we're going to cover next month is expired listings, because I think expired listings are going to become something again. They haven't been something for at least 4 years, but they're going to start to rear their head again, and there will be some more opportunities for you guys. So we'll cover that. And if anyone has any other additional suggestions or recommendations for future classes that Les, Madeline, and I could teach, please, you know, unmute yourself and chime in, because we'd love to hear any feedback that we can.
Would you do a combination in the next class of expireds and for sale by owners, or would that be
Yeah.
too separate?
No, I think that'd be good. We could probably put both together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. Good
Chantel
suggestion.
loves to call for sale by owners, right?
Do not talk about that.
Anyone
She
else?
forced me to do a cold call recently, and I was like completely, I lost it. I froze.
Yeah,
It was
but
horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question or a comment, Dan.
Yeah, please.
We talked about script practice, and I don't know if we've done this many times before because I'm a little new to the brokerage, but I would love like a 30-minute, 45-minute
Like just a whole scripting class? Valerie?
I'm not
I think
that good.
You're going in and out, but I think I hear you.
Right.
I hear you. So Valerie's suggesting just a role play and scripting class. Would someone else like to second that motion? Would that be of value to you guys?
yes.
Okay, great, good. So that'll be another topic that we'll do. Absolutely. Anyone else have any additional suggestions or thoughts of things that would be valuable to you guys to help you increase your real estate business and put more money in your pockets?
CMAs and listing presentations.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's something great. We'll definitely do that. So we have 3 classes, right? Role play and scripting, FSBOs and expireds, and how to price a property correctly for today's current market. Would that be a good one?
Yes.
All right, great. Any other thoughts and ideas? These are all great, and we will do all of these, by the way.
When I think of some more, I'll let you know.
All right, good. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time and thanks for jumping on. I would like to in the future, guys, as long as everyone's okay with it, try to meet more in person at the office. It would be really, really cool. I mean, we have 15 people, we had 16 people. So if we had 16, we'd have 18 people here. It creates a better energy. And I think we miss a lot on Zoom. So in the future, we'd like to do our best to get everyone into the training room. So hopefully next month, you guys are all open to physically getting together in the training room and making it more of a community face to face.
I'll try my best.
All right, y'all.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.